welcome back to my channel. So today in this video I'm actually here with my doll Summer, and as you probably noticed that Summer actually looks really different. So I decided that I'm finally gonna curl her hair because I've been laying it off for so long, and I decided that I'll curl her hair, and oh my gosh, I don't regret it one bit. She looks so good. But anyways, that's not the point of today's video. Today, the reason why I'm here with Summer is because she's one of my favorite dolls in my collection to feed, but also because me and Summer are going to be showing you guys my favorite ways to make baby live food. So since I've been collecting since I was very young, I want to say like 6 or 7, I've tried many different ways to feed my baby lives, and I've just collected probably like my top favorite like ways to make baby live food that you guys can also try if you don't know how. So this will be just like a little video on how I make my baby live food. So anyways, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so before we actually start off, I want to show you guys my favorite ways to actually color baby live food, or even drinks in general. But starting off, I'm going to be showing you guys what I use to color my food. So number one, it has to be washable markers, you guys. Washable markers are the biggest lifesaver. These are so affordable and they're so easy to find. And these work great for dyeing your dolls like food and also their drinks. It's very, very easy. So what you obviously need with the markers is toilet paper or even paper towels. So what I like to do is I like to just rip off a little piece. I usually just have a toilet paper like inside of my nursery for whenever I need it, and it's the greatest thing ever, like I mentioned in my tips and tricks video. But I'm going to be showing you guys how I color my food. So I have the paper towel right over here, and just as an example, I am going to be coloring the food purple. Just going to grab a purple marker, and basically this will make either grape food or grape juice depending on if we want to do a drink or food. And then I just gently color the tissue with trying not to rip it, which I kind of did unfortunately, but I like to just color it and make sure that it has a lot of pigment into it. And then once it has a lot of pigment, that will make sure that the drink is a lot more vibrant. So this is what it looks like, and as you can see, I even colored the floor there. But here is the paper towel, and now we're going to be getting a cup of water to test it out and see how the color comes out. Okay, so I actually have a bottle right over here filled up with water, and we are going to be testing out this like tissue paper hack. So we're going to take the cap off, and we're just going to be putting this inside of the bottle that's very clearly filled with water. And then you can use your finger or even the back of the marker to just kind of like swirl it around to really just bring out the color. And as you can see, it makes the most prettiest color ever. And you always want to make sure to get the toilet paper out, which I'm getting out right now, because usually like if you keep it inside, then it tends to clog up the top part of the bottle. So I always try to make sure that I get the tissue out of the bottle. Okay, and as you can see, the water has been colored very beautifully. Like the color is so gorgeous, you guys. And this is one of my like most favorite ways to color food or drinks for my dolls, and it's super duper easy, so I definitely recommend doing this. Okay, so the next method that I use to color my food or drinks is definitely got to be food coloring. Food coloring is super easy to use, and literally the color is already inside of the bottle. I don't use food coloring a lot. I used to use it a lot back in the day, but as time goes on, I just tend to use markers and tissues more often. But food coloring is also super easy. You only just want to use 1 drop because it's literally just water or very thin food, so you don't need a lot of color. And as you can see, it got colored super duper fast, and that makes us a nice like pinky kind of juice, maybe like watermelon juice, or I don't know, cranberry juice, something like that, or strawberry juice. And we'll just screw the cap back on and we'll shake it, and just like that we have some red juice. So we have this method, and then we also have this method, and I'm gonna be showing you guys one more, which I don't do like at all, like once every blue moon, but I think I'll just add it into the video as well. The next one, surprise surprise, is paint. I actually don't use paint a lot. Like I've used it once in like a video, and I didn't even feed my doll it. I just made a video of like making a drink with paint, but I never actually fed it to my doll. Definitely use, if you want to use paint, then you have to use washable paint because you want to make sure that the paint gets out of the doll. And same goes with food coloring, because food coloring can stain very easily. So you want to make sure that you use it in smaller quantities so that it doesn't stain your doll's like mouths or like their food like utensils and things like that. So I just have a bottle right over here and I'm gonna put some paint into it. It's not even coming out. Oh, there. Okay. And that should be enough. And like I said, just use washable paint because that will make sure to get the paint right out of your dolls way faster. Don't use acrylic paint like I am. This is just for demonstration purposes because I actually don't have washable paint. But as you can see, it turns into like this very white like color, obviously because it's white, but like it still makes a very nice like milk like consistency and even color as well. So this is actually perfect to use as milk. Just make sure that the paint you use is washable so that it actually comes out of your dolls, like it doesn't stain your doll basically. But yeah, anyways, these are my 3 favorite ways of coloring baby alive food and drinks, so I really do hope that that helps you guys out. Okay, so starting off very easy is what I like to call paper food. Now, you guys probably recognize this hack from my tips and tricks video, and if you guys still haven't watched that, I would definitely recommend to watch it. I'll put a little eye up for you guys so you can watch it. But this is one of my favorite things I resort to when I have a doll that is unable to eat or drink, so I just pretend feed them, and it works really amazing. So this is great for if your doll's tube is broken and you still want to feed them. This is what I usually do. If you guys would like a more in-depth tutorial like of showing how I do this, I would definitely recommend to watch my tips and tricks video so that you can learn how to do this. But this is one of my favorite ways to make baby alive food. So yeah, that's what I like to call paper food. Alright, so now we're going to be actually going more into food. I know that I showed you guys the paper food, but now we're going to be moving on to like the actual food that you can feed your dolls, like the liquid kind, if that makes sense. Okay, so the first method that I actually want to show you guys, because it's literally my favorite, has got to be lotion. I absolutely love using lotion, you guys. It is the most safest and easiest way to make baby alive food, so I always usually do lotion. So I'm going to be showing you guys how I make my lotion food. So we obviously have to start off with a bowl, so I have this one right over here. And this is like the first method in a way. I'm going to show you guys how to like color food. So this one does not require tissues, but just do note that your food might be really light compared to if you use like food coloring or a marker and tissue paper, but you just want to color your bowl with a marker, just like that. And this marker actually has really good pigment, so it's giving us a lot of nice color. And that's what it looks like. And then we'll just cap that back on, and I'll grab another pink color just to add like more color to it. And as you probably may have guessed, we are making strawberry food for this one, so this is going to be super exciting. We're gonna have a really nice like pink shade. And then for the last like pink, I think I might do red, just to really give it that, you know, that pink kind of color. And red and white makes pink, so we need like mostly pink, but we can also do some red just to bring it on. And there we go. So this is the first way I like to color my food, so I'm going to show you guys that if you don't want to use tissues. And then you basically just squirt some lotion into your bowl. This lotion is very chunky, you guys. It is actually expired. I don't use this lotion anymore. It has got to be like probably 5 or 6 years old. I know that's gross, but it's good for using expired lotion on your dolls. And I can just like rub that in. Usually expired lotion doesn't really affect me. And then we grab some water, and we're just gonna dump that in. And I actually spilled some, so that's great. And then now we're just gonna mix this. Okay, I decided that I'll mix it off of camera just for a little bit, but lotion actually requires you to mix it for a long amount of time, but as you keep mixing it, then the consistency will get a lot more thicker and it'll also become more smooth. Usually with lotion, as like when you first start mixing it in, there's a lot of chunks, so it definitely does require a lot of patience, but as you keep mixing, then that's when it'll become more smooth. And also, if you don't want to mix it for too long, then I do have an idea. You can keep the little white chunks inside and you can just call it oatmeal or even like baby cereal, and that works totally fine as well. But for me personally, I like to use like a Baby Alive mixer or a blender to just kind of mix the food and make it really, really smooth. But if you were to use it by hand, then you'd have to mix for a really long amount of time. But yeah, this has to be one of my all-time favorite ways to make Baby Alive food if I don't have a food packet, because this is the easiest thing to get out of your doll. Using something like flour, which I'll also be showing later, can be quite dangerous if you don't wash your doll thoroughly afterwards. So I like to use lotion because it makes your doll smell really good, and it also cleans them up just a little bit, I guess, but it also works really well in general. Alright, and actually for the next method, we are going to be using baking soda. Using baking soda is also a very safe way to feed your Baby Alives, because rather than like clogging them in a way, it kind of just helps them clean it out, because baking soda is used for more like cleaning purposes. So I like to just add my baking soda first. And usually for like measuring out the powders that I use for my doll food, I never measure it out, I always eyeball it. But if I were to tell you guys, like beginners, on how to measure doll food out, I would probably just say like using the Baby Alive spoon, because that also kind of helps. But now that we have the baking soda in, we are going to be pouring some water inside. And it actually hasn't like become like that solid, I guess. So we're definitely gonna have to add more baking soda, but that's okay. I usually don't use baking soda. Like I said, I kind of use lotion more, but baking soda also works. Okay, I'm afraid that I have made a mess, but that's fine. My family usually doesn't use baking soda that often, so they're okay with it. But now we're gonna mix it up. And it's actually very easy to mix. It's not like lotion where you have to keep mixing for a really long time. Like, it ends up getting mixed after a while. And there we go. Basically done. I don't think I'm gonna add more than that because I don't want to use too much, but I can use the ones that fell on the floor just as a way to kind of just get it back into the bowl. Try to be a little bit less messy than I am, because I'm being very messy with how I'm making my doll food right now, and this is so irresponsible of me. But yeah, just don't do what I'm doing. And then for coloring this one, we're also going to be trying a different method. We are going to be using food coloring to color this food method. And then the color that we're going to use for this food, I think we'll use green, as in like green veggies, and 1 drop is always enough. You don't need that many drops because first of all, it can stain your dolls, and second of all, it's just a small quantity of Baby Alive food, so you honestly don't need a lot. And there we go. We have made a different method of Baby Alive food, and that is what it looks like. So this is another way to feed your Baby Alive dolls, and yeah, that is basically the baking soda method for Baby Alive food. Alright, and for my very last method for making Baby Alive food is going to be flour. Now, I just have flour inside of this bowl. I just bought it from the kitchen. I don't really keep flour in my nursery because I don't find myself to be using it a lot, but I do have some in there that we're going to be using. And when you use flour, please proceed with caution, because feeding this to your dolls can cause their tubes to build up with a bunch of flour, and that eventually leads them to clogging and also sometimes molding if you don't rinse out your dolls properly after feeding them. To rinse out your dolls properly after feeding them, I would suggest filling up a Baby Alive bottle with water and soap, and feeding your dolls so that all of the excess food comes out of them. I always do this after my feedings, and it is the safest way to keep their tubes intact. And my second suggestion is that if you haven't washed down your dolls with like something in a really long time, then I would suggest using vinegar and baking soda, because that will also help get all of the excess food out of them and will help keep their tubes clean. Anyways, now that you guys know about the risks of feeding your dolls flour if you don't clean them up after properly, we are going to be proceeding. So I'm going to be using this tissue paper right over here, and we are going to be coloring the food with this like method, I guess. For this one, I feel like making banana food, so we're going to go with a yellow kind of marker, and I'm just going to make sure that we get a lot of color into it. I suck at this, you guys, but it's okay. It's gonna end up being thrown out anyways, so it's totally fine. And then I'm gonna use another shade of yellow just to kind of really get the banana color going. I am so bad at this, like, it is not even funny. I'm just gonna, like, there we go. There's just a whole trail of marker over there, which usually happens, but if you use washable markers, then you should be totally fine. And we're just gonna drop that into the bowl, and we're gonna add some water so that we get the color in. And then what you wanna do is you want to really squish the tissue and get all of that color out. And then what I like to do, whoops, is just bring it to the side and pick it up with my fingers. I know it's a little bit gross, but it totally works. And then you just squeeze the heck out of that tissue paper, which gets all of the excess color out and into the bowl. And there we go. That is the part that we want to throw out, because I don't think we want to feed our dolls that. Even though it doesn't cause anything to happen to them, I always like to just, you know, get it out of the way. And then we're just going to put some flour in. I'm just going to do a little bit first, and then I'll add more if I need to. And then we're just going to go ahead and mix this up and see what it brings us. It actually has a very nice like banana apple kind of color. If you guys are familiar with the food packets that Hasbro used to make, they had banana apple, and this kind of reminds me of it. What I like to do is just tap down on either the lotion chunks or the flour chunks and kind of just really get them to mix together. And yeah. And the more flour you add, the more thicker it becomes. And like I've mentioned before, to avoid your dolls clogging, I would recommend a more watered down doll food to feed them, I guess. But if you want to make it thick, you can, but you just have to proceed with caution. I'm gonna add a little bit more. Or you know what, I'll just add the whole thing, because I don't think we're gonna be using this flour, or this small portion of flour. So I'm just gonna add the whole thing and we'll see how it becomes. And this is definitely a lot more pasty, but baby food also looks like this very commonly, so it does look realistic in a way. Yeah, it's definitely very pasty, I have to say that. It looks really good though. It looks less like the banana apple food, but it does look really good, and the dolls would actually enjoy if this was being fed to them. So yeah, that was actually the very last hack, or the method that I had for making baby live food. Alright, so that is going to conclude for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to like and subscribe. And in the comments, let me know what is your favorite way to make baby live food and your favorite way to color it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and have an amazing day. Bye!